Your brain doesn't care about your dreams, only your patterns. It's not lazy, it's loyal. And that loyalty is why you're still stuck. You think you're deciding your habits, but your habits are deciding you. What if your brain isn't trying to sabotage you? What if it's just too loyal to your past? You've been here before. You promise yourself you'll change, you mean it. You feel the surge of intention, the clarity, the commitment. This time will be different. But then, slowly, quietly, the same loop drags you back. The same late nights, the same distractions, the same emotional escape routes. And you wonder, why can't I just stick to it? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You call it procrastination. Your brain calls it protection. You call it self-sabotage. Your brain calls it survival. Because to your nervous system, change isn't growth. It's danger. The familiar is safe. The unfamiliar is threat. And your brain will always choose the devil it knows over the angel it doesn't. This isn't about willpower. It's about wiring. Every time you repeat a behavior, you're not just doing something, you're teaching your brain what to expect. You're building neural highways that make that behavior easier to repeat. And the more you travel those roads, the more automatic they become. Until one day, you're not choosing anymore. You're just following the map your neurons built to keep you alive. So let's talk about the myth that's been keeping you trapped. The myth of willpower. The idea that if you just try harder, push more, force yourself through the resistance, you'll break through. But here's what actually happens. You push, you strain, you white-knuckle your way through a few days, maybe a week, and then you collapse. Not because you're weak, but because your effort was fighting against the architecture of your brain. You think you're choosing, but your neurons already voted. Long before you consciously decided to scroll instead of sleep, to avoid instead of act, to numb instead of feel, your brain had already mapped the route. It knew the dopamine hit. It knew the relief. It knew the comfort of the familiar loop. And when your conscious intention collided with your unconscious wiring, the wiring won. This is the trap. You believe that change is a decision. But decisions live in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, planning, future thinking. And that part of your brain is powerful. But it's not the most powerful. Because beneath it, deeper and older, is the limbic system, the emotional brain, the survival brain, the part that doesn't care about your 5-year plan. It only cares about what feels safe right now. And when those two systems conflict, the emotional brain almost always wins. Not because you're broken, but because your brain is designed to prioritize survival over success, comfort over growth, the known over the unknown. And unless you understand this, unless you stop trying to overpower your brain and start learning how to rewire it, you'll keep losing the same fight. You don't fail from lack of effort. You fail because your neural map is outdated. It's still navigating a world that no longer exists, a version of you that you're trying to leave behind. And until you update that map, every attempt at change will feel like swimming against the current. But here's where it gets interesting. Your brain isn't fixed. It's not hardwired. It's not permanent. It's plastic. And that word, neuroplasticity, is the key to everything. Neuroplasticity means your brain can change. Not theoretically, not eventually, right now. With every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every action you take, you are physically reshaping the structure of your brain. Every time you repeat a behavior, you strengthen the neural pathway associated with it. Every time you resist an old pattern and choose a new one, you weaken the old pathway and begin building a new one. Your brain is constantly rewriting itself based on what you feed it. The question isn't whether your brain can change. The question is, what are you teaching it? Here's the mechanism. When you do something, anything, neurons fire in a specific sequence. And when those neurons fire together repeatedly, they wire together. They form a connection, a pathway, a habit loop. The more you repeat it, the stronger that connection becomes. Until eventually, the behavior becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. Your brain just does it. This is why your bad habits feel effortless, not because they're natural, but because they're practiced. Your brain has rehearsed them so many times that they've become the default, the path of least resistance. And your brain loves efficiency. It doesn't want to waste energy making decisions. It wants to automate. So it turns repeated behaviors into unconscious routines. But here's the reversal. If your brain can automate bad habits, it can automate good ones. If it can wire pathways that keep you stuck, it can wire pathways that set you free. The process is the same. Repetition, emotion, focus. You don't force new habits. You teach your brain new comfort zones. And that's what rewiring truly means. The reason change hurts is because your neurons grieve the old version of you. The part of you that resists change isn't weak. It's terrified to die. Because to your brain, changing a habit feels like losing a part of your identity. And your brain will fight to protect that identity, even if it's hurting you. This is why motivation isn't enough. Because motivation is emotional fuel. And emotions are temporary. What you need isn't more motivation. You need a new map. So how do you actually rewire your brain? Not with force, not with shame, not with willpower. You do it with 3 principles: observation, interruption, repetition. Observation means you stop judging your behavior and start studying it. You become a scientist of your own patterns. You notice the trigger, the craving, the routine, the reward. You don't try to change it yet. You just watch it. Because awareness is the first step to disruption. You can't rewire what you can't see. Interruption means you catch the pattern mid-loop and introduce a new option. Not a big one, not a perfect one, just a different one. You feel the urge to scroll. You pause for 5 seconds. You feel the pull to avoid. You take one small step forward. You're not trying to eliminate the old pathway. You're just creating a detour, a new possibility. And every time you choose that detour, you weaken the old route and strengthen the new one. Repetition means you do it again, and again, and again. Not perfectly, not intensely, just consistently. Because your brain doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your patterns. Every thought you repeat is a vote. Every emotion a rehearsal. You are not trapped. You're programmable. And the program runs on repetition. Discipline isn't strength. It's neurological repetition. It's not about forcing yourself to do hard things. It's about making hard things familiar. Because once your brain recognizes a behavior as familiar, it stops resisting it. It stops seeing it as a threat. And it starts automating it. That's when change stops feeling like effort. That's when it becomes who you are. This is the shift. You stop trying to be someone new and start teaching your brain a new normal. You stop fighting your wiring and start updating it. You stop waiting for motivation and start building infrastructure. Because motivation is a spark, but infrastructure is a system. And systems don't rely on how you feel. They rely on what you repeat. Once you understand the mechanism, the loop loses power. You stop blaming yourself for being weak. You stop believing you're broken. You realize you were just operating with an outdated map. And now you have the tools to redraw it. If you're tired of fighting your own wiring, you're in the right place. We don't chase change here, we decode it. We don't motivate, we reprogram truth. Because the real transformation doesn't happen when you feel inspired. It happens when you understand the system. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Subscribe if you want more of this. Not hype, not shortcuts. Just the science of how your mind actually works and how to make it work for you. We don't do comfort here, we do clarity. And if you're ready to stop repeating the same patterns and start rewriting them, this is where it begins.